35th District conversations continue this week, and now Senator Drew McEwen on the phone line. Drew, how you doing?
I am good, Jeff. How about yourself?
Good to talk with you. I've been talking with your counterparts in the House this week as we're kind of looking at some of the things that are in the budgets, the supplemental budgets, and what you're working on there. There's a $3 billion surplus, it looks like, and I saw some notes out that the House Republicans were looking for strategic fiscal investment. So I ask you, what are you concerned about in the Senate side of these? And where do you think you have an opportunity to kind of change some of the numbers, maybe to help some of the issues that you're looking at?
Yeah, on the Senate side, all in all, the budget isn't too bad of a proposal. I am, however, very concerned about the House's proposal. They have in there, quite frankly, a buy-off for votes, and in there is a $200 rebate to Washingtonians if they vote down the initiative on the carbon tax to repeal the Climate Commitment Act. If that initiative gets repealed, you magically get $200. I find that just abhorrent that is a proposal in the House budget, and I'm very disappointed with that. And I think on the Senate side, when everything goes to conference, I'm hopeful that gets taken out. That is probably my biggest concern in there, is that it's just a blatant disregard for proper stewardship of the taxpayers' dollars, and to try to frankly direct the outcome of a vote in November.
So how is that? How does that work?
Yeah, well, the way they phrased it in there is that there's a rebate check that would go to consumers for the higher cost of fuel and utilities due to the Climate Commitment Act, but that rebate only occurs if the initiative is voted down. To me, it's just blatant electioneering with the state operating budget, and I'm appalled that they would even present that. There's some politicians that have gone to prison for doing similar things.
Talk to me a little bit now, when it gets to your side of the chambers, and you mention and hope that it's not going to go anywhere. If it's in there, how does it work in the process? Is it an amendment that was added, or you're reading through and somebody goes, wait, no, we should strike that? Or explain to us how that could potentially get removed then.
Yeah, the budget process gets a little wonky inside politics, so to speak. So what happens is both chambers do their respective proposals, not just for the operating, but the transportation budget and the capital budget. And they, in each chamber, will pass their own budget off of the floor. And then, because there are so many differences, they do what's called a conference report. So the budget writers from both chambers come together and negotiate what the final one will be. And then ultimately what happens, and I forget which year we're in right now in terms of how we do the process. So I'm just going to say this as an example. I'm not positive which way we go this year, and it doesn't matter in terms of the final outcome. What will happen then, and this rotates every year as to whose turn it is to go first. But what will happen is, let's say we're going to use the House operating budget as the vehicle. Once the negotiations are done, what is produced is called a striking amendment, where it strikes the entire budget and gives the new one that's now been negotiated. And so, like I said, if this was done on the House side, they would amend it on their side, vote it out. They would come over to the Senate, and then we would vote it out. That's how the process works with the budgets. Like I said, we rotate it each year as to which chamber is going to lead on it. And like I said, I don't remember which way we're doing it this year, but it doesn't matter in terms of the final outcome. What matters is what happens in that conference committee when they negotiate a final budget. And I think the Senate has a much more reasonable approach to the overall budget that doesn't spend as much money and doesn't try to bribe the voters on how they vote in November.
Senator Braun, one of your counterparts over there, is kind of 50-50 on how these initiatives are going to be heard. There are 6 initiatives that are going to be up for the voters this November. But in the interim, you have an opportunity to hear some of those. It sounds like 3 are going to get a chance for a public hearing and 3 are not. Are you happy with that? Or are you happy with the ones that were chosen?
Well, I'll say this. I'm glad that some are getting heard. I'm disappointed that some are not getting heard. I think they should all be heard. The state constitution is rather specific that initiatives to the people shall take precedence over all other legislation with the exception of appropriations. That means that they need to be heard. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take voting action on them, but they should be heard. I mean, these are initiatives that the people of the state have said, we want our voices heard on these issues. So, yeah, I'm glad that they're at least going to hear 3 of them next week. That'll be the changing the law in police pursuit, making it more reasonable so police can actually do their job and enforce the law. It's a novel concept, apparently, in this state. And then the other one would ban an income tax. And then the other one deals with parental rights, especially in regards to education, and that parents have the ultimate authority with when it comes to the upbringing of their kids. And again, that's something that's been eroded by state law over the past, literally just in the past 5 years, the most. So I am glad that those are getting heard. I wish they would hear the rest of them, but we'll take the base hit that we can get. And already when I was looking at it just a little while ago, the number of people that have already signed in support of the 3 that are being heard, they're all north of 96%. So it's pretty obvious that there's a pretty strong support for these initiatives. And again, just because they get heard, and they're going to be heard as a joint committee by both the House and the Senate, so it'll be one hearing, and that'll be next week. And I'd encourage people to voice their opinion, whichever way they feel on the initiative. It's an important part of the process, and they can go to the legislature's website and see how to sign up for or against an initiative, and if they wish to testify as well. So. But again, those will get heard. It doesn't mean that they have to go to a vote, but they'll at least be heard. And then, we'll be pressing to bring those to a vote. And if they're voted, they do not go to the governor. Assuming the House and the Senate both vote them off, if that is to occur, it then becomes law 90 days later.
You are on 3 committees. You're the ranking member on environment, energy and tech, business and financial services, labor and commerce, and transportation. So let's talk about transportation. What are some things that are hopeful to be stuck in there for the 35th, the Belfair bypass or whatever we call it these days? Is that still on there?
Yeah, the freight corridor. Yeah, we still have that on track and moving in the right direction. And I think there's pretty strong support in both chambers to keep that there. So I'm pleased with that. Working on increasing the funding to address safety concerns there on 101, that stretch that parallels Shelton. We've seen a number of accidents there, and that's only gotten worse. So I got some money in last year to do the initial design work to put jersey barriers in, and jersey barriers are those big concrete things you'll see when they use them either temporarily or permanently. But that'll provide a more of a safety corridor along that stretch of 101. And so we've increased some funding to that. I'm confident that that'll stay in there. And then doing some changes to it, the Wallace-Neeland stretch there. When you take that exit at Shelton, as anybody who's been there around 3 o'clock in the afternoon or later knows that has gotten more and more difficult to navigate. And so starting to do some initial changes there and make it safer for pedestrians. And ultimately get it to a point where that traffic flow is better. And that's not going to happen overnight, but again, it's the first step in the process.
I just had this thought about the freight corridor. And did you ever, or have you had any input from the shipyard, the Navy, on supporting this at a higher level? It'll help get the flow of traffic better through there. It'll help their employees that work in Mason County get to the shipyard, presumably faster. Were they ever part of that conversation?
It's come up at other times. They're certainly supportive of it. They haven't had comments on it as of late, but through the coordinating councils that represent Mason and Kitsap, that's always been a part of that conversation. And then they have a huge focus on getting the Gorse interchange redone. That ties into it as well. So yeah, to answer your question, they're supportive of it. They haven't voiced anything as of late because we're moving in the right direction, but it'll certainly have a much needed benefit to the region overall and to the shipyard.
Let's talk about what it means to have a page and what it means for the kids that are able to come on campus and page for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a great program. You have to be at least 14 and not yet 16. And it's what they do is they work in the legislature for a week, and you're sponsored by either your senator or one of your representatives. And they have various jobs that are assigned to them throughout the week. A lot of it, it's ministerial, and running a lot of errands and everything. But it gives them a behind the scenes look too at what's going on. And I think probably one of the more enjoyable things is when we're on the floor with debates. They're there. They help with passing out amendments and everything. And they get a variety of tasks throughout the week. They go to Page School. They learn more about the legislature. And I think it's a great program. It's 1 week. We all have limited slots. I think in the Senate on short session, which is what we're in, we were allocated, I believe it was 4. And you can apply online. And then in the longer session, we get more pages, so there's more opportunity time-wise to do that. And my philosophy and the way I've always done it is I've treated it as a first come, first serve. So, 'cause I've never seen an application that I would not approve. So I don't wait for a whole bunch to come in. I just approve them as they get there. And so I would encourage people and, parents to get your kids, if that's something that'd be possibly of interest, that next fall, get online and apply for those. And they get to take a week off from school and be here, and they get paid for it. It's a good experience, and I think it really provides them a firsthand look at how state government works.
Are they able to interact with you guys a little bit? Maybe go to the mess hall and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, they do. There's and we'll do at least one meeting during the week with them, just one-on-one, and have a conversation and answer questions that may have come up for them. And as opportunities are available to join us in, whether it's having lunch together or, any of the other activities that do happen during the week, we try to do that as best we can. And, but yeah, it is a good opportunity for them just to get to know legislators a little bit more, and that, we get dressed just like everybody else. There's not any big mystery here, and that they get to see their government at work.
That's really cool. Senator Drew McEwen, thank you so much for some of your time.
Yeah.
And I will talk with you next week as we move closer to the end of the session.
Sounds great. You have a wonderful day.